But Elon Musk has been, promoting this idea that he's going to have, his big robot. And they had like their big launch event, which was supposed to be a special announcement. And, basically made it felt to most people in the world that at this event, they were at least going to have some form of demonstration, potentially show a prototype or something like that. And they did provide something. But it wasn't what we would be expecting. I don't know if you have it handy, Matt. But there are a lot of questions to be answered from this. But this is his big reveal. Ready? This is the big reveal of the robot. People are waiting in line. They're like, oh my God, I'm about to see history made. Here we go. Wow, so lifelike. Human. Oh my God. All right. Elon Musk ends it a little bit early too. So yeah, that's the robot. I'm sure pretty much everybody who saw it understood that was a human being in like a latex suit, but just want to double that, make that clear for folks who are listening. But that is up there with extremely disappointing and kind of goofy Elon Musk fumbles for sure.
It's so stupid. It's so annoying because it's like the classic Elon Musk thing of like being enough of a joke that like all his defenders can sort of laugh at it. Like, oh, we're in.
Well, Matt, excuse me, Matt. How many robots have you built?
This motherfucker's not going to make a robot. I mean, oh.
Or I mean, okay, but before we get to, we have a good rundown. I don't know if you have handy.
Yeah,
okay. But before we get to that, I do just want to explore this for a second with you, Matt. Do you think that guy got the call day of, hey, our shit's not ready to present to the public? Do you think they were called in advance as a sort of backup? Or do you think all along they knew that they weren't going to have anything to present and instead, had this person waiting in the wings?
See, it's hard to say because that dancing was... it was like best dancer at a wedding dancing, but there was no choreography to it, and it really didn't lead anywhere. It was like once they exhausted their moves, it was be silly. So I'm trying to think what that means. Does that mean that? So they like I said, they clearly didn't do any choreography. You could have got somebody that can do a really like legit robot. You could have found them off TikTok. Just put #robot on and found somebody.
Mm-hmm.
This, like, that almost strikes me as like somebody in the fucking company just put it on.
One of his people.
And we're talking about like dumb cousin, like, oh, that idiot cousin did a coup, like that view of history. I think like that is a proper view of certain corporations, and like just to the whims of morons. They can decide like, oh, let's just wouldn't it be funny if that guy did this? And this is the sort of thing like a business, like people who write business books about like fawning ones about people like Elon Musk. They love stories like that. Like if that was which I guess I'm assuming now was somebody from Tesla, like that, they're gonna have that as an internal story that they actually think is funny, which is what really pisses me off about it, because I hate it from a public standpoint, but also like they think it's funny.
No, I mean it's completely insane, and I couldn't imagine being a journalist at that event and just the kind of contempt. It reminds me of like, what's his name, O'Keefe, James O'Keefe.
Yeah.
Before he became sort of well known, this is when I was sort of working in like DC journalism scene, right? This is right like 2015, right? So right early on, Hillary Clinton running for president. And I remember James O'Keefe had a huge event that we all got emails for. I was interning at Al Arabiya at the time, but every journalist at the National Press Club was getting emails basically like, you got to come. We got the scoop. It might take down Hillary Clinton's whole campaign. Right. And it was still sort of early days for him. And the whole room is just filled with journalists who are coming at like 5 o'clock, which if you're not from DC, like that's happy hour time, right? That's people are drinking like 5 deep at that point. So people are like had either left drinking or pissed because they want to go drinking. And they're sitting in this, dingy room waiting for this big event. And James O'Keefe does one of his videos. And the big scoop was he got some woman who was working a Hillary Clinton like campaign event in like upstate New York to let a Canadian buy a Hillary t-shirt.
Oh, right.
Right. Which is technically against like campaign finance laws. And the room was just irate. Like people were like yelling him down. Like this guy was like, I'm gonna like make this big, scene and maybe make a big splash. And instead, just everyone in the room just hated him. I could imagine people in that Musk scene having the same kind of reaction. But the problem with the Musk scene is that it's also mixed with a lot of like extreme true believers. And at this point, there really is nothing that can happen to sort of break through their trust in this guy.
Yeah. So we got the CNET article here.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, he says it's going to have a robot in a year. Well, we'll revisit this. Call us out on that if he has. I am very confident that this is going to end up like his sort of underground bus tunnels for Las Vegas turned out to be like a weird Hot Wheels track with RGB lighting. Okay.
We don't have to go through the whole thing. Go to the sleeping through commute. I can read a little bit from it.
This is good.
So in 2014, Musk famously predicted that self-driving systems would be advanced enough by 2020 that you could literally get in the car and go to sleep and wake up at your destination. 7 years later, Tesla has clearly made progress toward that goal, but what it calls full self-driving is still really advanced driver assistance.
We're not fucking close.
No. This guy is being kind because they're writing for CNET.
Right, exactly. Like the obstacles to doing this to where the driver is not conscious and ready to step in at a moment's notice, we are not fucking close. No. We are like a decade or a decade and a half at best.
This is a system that gets confused by the moon, right? You've seen these, right?
Oh, right.
It thinks that the moon is like is a headlight or something like that, and continues to like slow down and react to it.
Right. Or like it just decides to go down the train tracks instead of the adjacent road. Like the idea that you can go to sleep in this it's such an alarming statement compared to where we are now. Like it'd be asking to die if you.
Well, excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir. Have you invented a car that is able to drive down the road itself? If not, shut the fuck up.
Neither is Elon.
Sir, I'm not the one who's going out here and telling people at these bloated-ass press conferences that I'm going to deliver the technology of the future, just not be able to do it.
What else we got? Okay.
Wait. So I just like this line break in the piece, right? So by the way, this is all happening after the close of 2020, which was the deadline Musk set in 2019 for Tesla to have 1 million robo-taxis on the road.
Oh yeah, I see those all the time.
All the time. At the time, Musk noted that he's often not on time with such pledges, but did promise that Tesla would get it done. Now we've left to wonder about the odds of seeing Tesla bots in homes before fleets of robo-taxis hit the road. You're going to be waiting for both of those. I love this.
He is the James O'Keefe of venture capital.
No, absolutely. Well, good. But this next paragraph is the best, right? Still, I just love this so much, right? They're talking about what Musk has delivered on, right? Which again, this is his skill. Still, there's reason to believe Tesla and Musk will get it done eventually. The company has reached one audacious milestone, first verbalized by Musk in 2015, which was that the automaker could be worth as much as Apple, over 700 billion at the time, by the year 2025. Earlier this year, Tesla's market value passed 800 billion for the first time. Meanwhile, Apple is worth over 2 trillion. But that's still a remarkable gain for Tesla's roughly $25 billion valuation in 2015.
What the fuck is going on there, by the way, with that valuation?
Well, that's the point of this, by the way. Drop the Apple and the Tesla like direct comparisons. Is that the one thing that Musk is able to promise is that there are going to be enough insane people out there that will continue pumping money into these projects and these valuations that are just insane. I'm sorry. When it comes to the car stuff, this shit drives me nuts. And I talk to people who like work in finance about this, and it's one of those moments where you realize how divorced that system is from like actual reality. I talked to them about the Teslas, right? And they're like, why is this company valued so much when it produces far less cars than Ford or GMC or Toyota, right? And they say, well, it's this potential, it's this dream. Why do you believe that this is fucking going to happen? Whenever there is a milestone that is set, it is not met, right? So all of this kind of valuation is this belief in the future. Musk is going to build us a robo-taxi fleet, robot butlers take us to Mars, right? When are you going to get that this guy is just fucking taking you all for a ride? And I didn't put this in the list, but we'll get to it after we go through some of these other ones. I actually do want to talk about the media apparatus around Musk because it is actually insane. I don't think people talk about it enough. But we got Mars here.
Which
Musk
again,
was promising that he was going to bring us. Again, not going to happen, but also like it's insane when you read these things again. He was saying, where was it? It was up in the paragraph before when he says he had promised that he was going to take people, he was going to go to Mars by 2010.
Oh, wait a second. So I thought I misread that part. So I said Mars by 2010, and then it took 6 years for SpaceX to make it to orbit the first time in 2008. I thought for a second that he promised orbit by 2010, and he beat it by 2 years.
I mean, it's just so like this is why this is such an amazing thing, and it's a good reminder that rich people aren't the best distributors of their money, right?
No.
These people are
Elon. Okay, so there's some degree of disagreement from Elon about how much his father's speculation in emerald mines played into his nest egg. The fact is that the vast majority of money came from investing in. I mean, he did get money from his family, but also like a lottery ticket with the PayPal thing.
Yeah.
And like now he's basically turned that, and when you have that kind of money, like you can control shit like you can privatize NASA, for instance, right? And rocket technology. And it makes you look cool, but doesn't mean you know what the fuck you're doing at all. And like if any successes that he has are purely like it's like venture capital. Like he's basically like, right? Like, okay, you'll have some successes. Remember we were talking about his fucking flamethrower? Why the fuck was that a thing for like a whole year?
Yeah, I
like
remember that.
Elon Musk made a flamethrower. It's like for the guys who like love bacon mentioned in a commercial. Like
fuck bacon, man.
Fucking love bacon.
It's epic.
What else do they have? Moving to Mars.
There's more. There's hyperloops.
All right.
A way to skip traffic.
NASA
so far, the pilot projects in Las Vegas and SpaceX headquarters in California are nothing more than tiny tunnels where human drivers behind the wheels of Teslas ferry passengers across short distances at relatively low speeds. I will say, I do love the kind of like shitty school project vibe that you get from a lot of Musk projects.
I can't believe it.
Epic. I'm going to build this volcano. It's going to be so fucking big and it's going to explode everywhere and everyone's going to lose their minds, right? And then it shows up as a little tinfoil thing and like a little bit of vinegar pops up when you put in the baking soda, right? Like that is like how he runs these businesses. But all of these wackos out there, it's literally, I mean, the guy, give him credit. Like he knows how to sell to this extremely gullible audience of people.
It's P.T. Barnum, honestly. Like how you can look at this one. Musk is also behind schedule to deliver what's been promised with another of his smaller efforts, Neurolink. The long-term vision here is a truly futuristic mind merge between individual human brains and artificial intelligence via brain-computer interfaces. I mean, again,
Do not put that shit in your head.
Absolutely not. But I mean, it's also fucking gobbledygook, and they're not anywhere near.
That's what I'm saying. Do not put it in your
right. Exactly. That's yeah.
Do not let this man put metal random products into your head because it's not going to deliver on what he promises, and I'm sure it's going to create a lot of serious complications for you and your health.
Yeah. There's the Boston Dynamics thing. Yeah. I mean, just and the thing is if you see all these examples and you're still like maybe he's going to deliver on it, it's like. I don't know.
Well, I mean, what can you do? What can you do? There's two things I wanted to share. Regarding Musk here, because the tunnel stuff is so ridiculous. It's such a joke. But what he's doing in South Texas really makes me sick to my stomach, right? Because he's coming to parts of the country that are rural and poor, that have been underdeveloped because of American racism and American capitalism, and for reasons of American imperialism as well, right? And he's coming in there with these promises of jobs and investment. Yeah, thank you. And it just is so cynical. And he gave millions of dollars to the town here. And people are like, oh well, he's being generous and it's so beautiful. It's like, no, he's doing this to buy the fucking town, to make them do what he wants. And this shit is so disgusting. So he's been proposing this idea. We don't have to even open up the article because I can explain it, but he's proposing here in Boca Chica, a town that if you read any of the stories about what's going on there, it's a nightmare. This guy comes into town, right? And is, doing all of his launches and tests. So, and people get a warning and are told not to leave their homes for the period of the tests. Oh, and then, but don't worry, Musk is generous. If they want, they can go stay at some fucking accommodations at a Holiday Inn like an hour away. If they would prefer, right? And what kind of life is that? It's insane that this is allowed to happen in the first place, right? So he's created this nightmare now where people don't have access to their communities, to their beaches and things like that. And people are like, well, what, can we do something about it? And well, Musk has a fucking solution to the problem that he created, which is that he wants to build another one of his goddamn tunnels that don't work in an extremely unique biome, right? And part of the world. He wants to build another one of these fucking tunnels down there that will, of course, will underdeliver in the promise, and will also cause a lot of harm to the community and the environment there as well. And there's something just so sick to me about somebody who's like creating a problem like that and then saying like, oh, don't worry, I'll solve it with my other great fucking invention that is not going to work either. It's really, really nasty. And you start to wonder how this guy's able to get away with this. And there's a reason for this. I don't know if you saw this. I had meant to do a tweet about it, but I think talking about it live might be the best way. There are a lot of these guys who are so invested in Musk and Tesla and all these projects, that they sort of have no choice right now other than to try to hold, right? And it'll give me here we go.
He's human Bitcoin.
Bitcoin for sure. This is another one of these guys. I just saw this late when I was scrolling. And it was just a kind of goofy thing, right? Vincent Yu, Tesla Giga Berlin will put an end to logistical nightmare and a supply problem, Weed Bush believes, right? And Elon Musk replies, will make a big difference, right? Oh, wow. Elon Musk, like interacting with journalists, so fascinating. So I look at who this guy, Vincent Yu, is. Mm-hmm. And he is the founder and the CEO of this website called, that article is from Tesmanian, right? I might be mispronouncing that. I'm not going to figure out what they're alluding to there, right? But he's basically running this publication that, like, it puts itself out there as like, oh, we're making commentary on like what Elon Musk is doing and what Tesla is doing. Well, it turns out this guy is, in his Twitter bio, it says extreme Tesla and SpaceX investor. And then you look at the how much he's invested, this guy is deep in there for hundreds upon hundreds of millions of dollars in Tesla, right? And he just happens to run a fucking media arm that promotes Tesla and Elon Musk and tells you that these products are good and they're working and all these problems that they're going to fix, right? And there's just something when you see them interacting with each other as if this is some kind of like natural interaction between a journalist and a CEO of a corporation. It's something really sick. Because you realize that a lot of people aren't going to spend the time. I don't think that people need to necessarily be doing this because it's an absurd way to live your life, right? Looking through all these sources and the writers and all this kind of shit. But once you look under it and you realize that all these guys are sort of bought and sold Tesla people or people who have like deep interest in making sure that these things all succeed, you realize that it's sort of insane. The whole everything around it it's just wild to me that this is just sort of accepted and not talked about in public.
I think he is using bots in a way that also in addition to like journalists who are up to their ears for him. So remember the Cybertruck?
Oh yeah.
So yeah, they made a video look like a shitty video game. If you look at the quote tweets of this,
yeah.
Business Mahaber, very good project. SC Khan, good project. MD Rasa, good project.
Oh shit, dude.
Russell Ahmed, very good project. Dipka, good opportunity for the user. I wish more profit for the future. Like there's something weird going on. And maybe it's not Musk. Maybe it's just people who really need Tesla to bear this valuation out or something.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
sure.
There's a lot of bullshit behind this this investment.
I mean, it's just wild, and just to put a cap on it. I mean, this is just a great reminder that a lot of the problems in this world right now is that most of us have too little money, and fucking a small amount of people have too fucking much money. And they're wasting our resources.
And they're squatting and they're privatizing the decisions on the key things we need to say combat climate change, for instance. Like that motherfucker.